Hey, world, what up? Trouble's on alert for the LA Lakers. And hey, if you go on social media, you go on these platforms on the comment sections, you already know the NBA fans and quote unquote LeBron haters going at it far as can ever on the Lakers, stating Mickey Mouse ring, LeBron needs AD, yada yada. Listen, man. And I don't go off in an emotional two-dimensional basis. I take this step by step. Listen, the LA Lakers, ever since Anthony Davis and Dennis Schroeder have been both out of the picture for their team roster due to availability, injuries, and let alone with COVID protocols, the Lakers have won one game and they've lost three in a row. Now they lost to the Miami Heat, they lost to the Brooklyn Nets, and then now they've lost to the who they lose to? Oh yes, they lost to the Washington Wizards, who won four in a row. Now make it five. So, and they lost in overtime. LeBron James did miss a clutch free throw at the end of regulation, and the Lakers right now are in a particular situation. So, of course, we're gonna jump into here on Speak for Yourself. I know these three cats are gonna go back at it, back and forth. Hey man, listen, with LeBron James, when it comes to him and his NBA teams, year after year, we usually typically see 95% of the time there's some type of chaos or some type of loss to loss on a night to night basis. Um, Listen, this is pretty much expected, especially with Anthony Davis and Dennis Schroeder out, the second and third leading scorers for their team and franchise. So you're really looking to put a lot more pressure on young Kyle Kuzma, and along with, who else? I don't know who else they'll put out there that could score as much, but mostly on Kyle Kuzma within them. LeBron James is in a situation to where he should have beat the Washington Wizards, and he's going to have to reload tonight to go against the number one team in the West, the Utah Jazz. I would not be surprised whatsoever if the LA Lakers win that game tonight, to kind of flip the script, as they kind of say and suppose. Who knows? Maybe on a four-game losing streak. Something could happen within that, but I'm going to jump into here. We'll give our take into this.
LeBron, I need more rest too.
Yeah, right. I'm going home right
now. We're joined by NBA analyst Slick Rick, my guy. But Marcellus, you up first. You worried about the Lakers and how they're managing LeBron James?
Am I worried about the Lakers? No, I'm not worried about them. They're still starting at the third seed with the 22-10 record. Now, you do have the hot Phoenix Suns coming back up, and they're only a game behind the LA Lakers, sitting at the 4th seed with a 20-10 record, especially with Chris Paul and Devin Booker now as all-stars, which gives them a little more momentum and swagger heading deeper into the season. The Lakers are not going to have AD for another 3 to 4 weeks, and Dennis Schroeder probably for another week or so. So you're going to put a lot more pressure on LeBron James to get things done with, and for these young cats to step up, because the role players within the LA Lakers, besides from LeBron James, Dennis Schroeder, Anthony Davis, and somewhat of Kyle Kuzma, are more just role players defensively. If not that, catch and shoot, and that's it. They don't really make plays for each other. And you have two of those players out with Dennis Schroeder and Anthony Davis. Now, Kyle Kuzma, he's one of those bubble players because he is young, he is inconsistent, and within that, he's not a guy you can trust to go to late in games, led within that during the start of a game. So that puts LeBron James back into that scoring mentality, being 36 years of age. So that 32 minutes a night, 32 to 34 minutes a night you expect from him, you're pretty much going to have to bump that up to 36 through probably 39 minutes a night. And that's not ideal for LeBron James' situation for a month straight. We already saw within 2 seasons ago when he tried to lock playoff mode the end of the end of the regular season with Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram. He couldn't get it done with. Now, that was due to an injury, groin, and he tried to overpower it. But within this, LeBron James is going to have to keep things on a steady mode. He's probably going to have to sit out a couple games from time to time. Frank Vogel is really going to have to replicate this roster and this team to where they can get more scores out there and get this done with. Besides from that, Kyle Kuzma, he's going to have to step up in a big fashion. The LA Lakers are targeting Boogie Cousins, who's now a free agent right now. They just let go of Quinn Cook, and they're monitoring the Andre Drummond situation, that he could potentially get bought out, and any other bigs. But the Lakers could really use the services of Boogie Cousins as of right now. They could use him for both offensively. He is suspect on defense, but they could use another big man out there. If I'm the Lakers, I'm snatching Boogie Cousins ASAP.
I am a little concerned with that part because I don't think there's a proper calculation in how to play LeBron James through this rough patch without AD and without Schroeder. So that's the problem. It's like, how do you pace LeBron James? And let's just be real about this. LeBron James has mastered how to pace himself, even though giving the visuals a maximum effort, but really saving it for when he needs it most. Hey, this guy's just a genius. We know that. But he's also highlighting something that's interesting about all of us, that we're just conditioned beings. All of us are conditioned by different factors. And LeBron James mentally has conditioned himself to believe, I could go out there and ball till I fall, which is...
We are creatures of repetition, and with LeBron James, he's done it all. He's done it all. He's playing point guard, and he's won a championship. He's played small forward, off the ball, and he's won championships as well. When it comes to LeBron James, he's also been in his own LeBron James system. He's won championships. He's played more in a team system and deferred himself, to a higher score out there like an Anthony Davis. He's also won championships. LeBron James has seen it all. He's played the most minutes in NBA history. He's gonna track himself to get the most points in NBA history within 2 to 3 seasons. So I'm not too worried about the LA Lakers and LeBron James as of right now. LeBron usually knows how to kick it off, and within these games, he lost against the Miami Heat and within the Washington Wizards by 2 points each expedition match. So they just gotta clutch it out at the end.
Therapeutic, and more so, actually something that can help them in placebo effect. Just the fact that you think it, maybe it's going to be the reality. But physically, everyone's like, but sooner or later, he's got to slow down. He's 36. Sooner or later, I don't know when. They said that about Tom Brady about 5 years ago. Still waiting for him to slow down as well. Some guys are just different. So LeBron James, whatever he's doing in his own conditioning is working. I remind you, first, let's visualize. Carmelo Anthony, same draft class as LeBron James. And this is no shot at Carmelo. But LeBron has played 329 more games than Carmelo. Now, go back to that visualization. Look at Carmelo in your head and look at LeBron in your head.
Wearing the hood or no?
Carmelo, that dude, too. If you ever seen him in real life, he lean as hell. But the point is, LeBron James has figured this out, guys. And it's okay to let LeBron James do it this way. It does seem like he's borrowing some of his tomorrows to pay off today.
Do that.
But if there's anybody I would bet on that is going to give Father Time 12 rounds and got to go to the scorecards, it's the king, LeBron James.
And the last thing before he goes off within his statement here, I stated LeBron James should have sat the game with the Washington Wizards after taking those back-to-back L's against the Brooklyn Nets and the Miami Heat. Listen, LeBron James wants to play as much as possible, make his MVP case, which has been declining on my end. I do have Joel Embiid as the number 1 within my MVP rankings. I'm probably going to have to put, I'm going to keep LeBron James at number 2 as of right now. Nikola Jokic is up there with Damian Lillard. Nikola Jokic just had a 40-point outing tonight with another W. But the Denver Nuggets are sitting at a 7th seed, 17 and 14, so I'm not going to grant you one of the top 2, top 3 MVP votes in my rankings if you don't have at least home court in the playoffs standings as of right now. Damian Lillard and the Portland Trailblazers are also within that mix, but they're at a 6th seed, an 18 and 13 record. So as of right now, I do have Joel Embiid pretty much kind of in a class by himself. LeBron James has been dipping, so he's going to have to pick it up on that end.
Sal, I'm absolutely and thoroughly worried about the Lakers and how they're managing LeBron James. The job of a head coach is to protect a player from himself. That is the job of the head coach. LeBron James is not going to protect himself from himself. Listen to his post-game comments. I told you, I stayed up and watched them. He was like, I'm resting right now. LeBron, that ain't rest. Sitting at a podium, driving in your car is not rest. Rice, rest, ice, compression, elevation. That's rest. Kick back in the bed with your legs up. That is rest. So I can't trust LeBron James to protect himself because players are crazy. We're going to go as hard as we can. But more importantly, the body will fatigue before the mind does when talking about somebody like LeBron. That's why in Philadelphia, we used to do central nervous system tests when I was on the Eagles to check your central nervous system because you might think you're okay, but your body's not responding. I told y'all about this tired leg full screen. I'll say it to you again. January, LeBron James shot 43% from three. February, prior to AD getting hurt, LeBron James shot 24% from three. Then the last 5 games since AD has been injured, LeBron James is shooting 15% from three. To LeBron James, it might be a sheer coincidence, but to LeBron James's body, it is a direct correlation of fatigue. Somebody got to protect LeBron. And the head coach, Frank Vogel, he ain't doing it.
You need another self-scorer out there, and that's why I'm proposing. This is a double win. You need to get Boogie Cousins. He can give you 20 a night with Anthony Davis out in a good fashion. You can just give him in the post. He can go to work. Besides from that, he's not a defensive big, but he is 6'10", 6'11". Within that, the Lakers, they need another big man down low. Even though if he can give you around 65 to 70% what you need defensively down low, that's still good enough to where the Lakers can win ball games. Besides from that, if there's another big besides from him, who are you going to go for? You're not going to get a trade for JaVale McGee. That's not happening. Andre Drummond, to cross your fingers to see if he gets bought out, that's not going to happen until at least 3 to 4 weeks, if anything. And if Andre Drummond were to get bought out, he's most likely going to go to the Brooklyn Nets or the LA Clippers. Actually, let me backtrack. Most likely the Brooklyn Nets, if anything. That really would require his services by, big. Who else are you looking if you're the LA Lakers out there? There's not much. There's not much you can do about it. Boogie Cousins is the way to go. He has the instant chemistry. He'll fit in perfectly. And they really require someone who can give you 15 to 20 while AD and Shooter are out. Because the Lakers have lost both of these games by 2 points apiece. Very close by them. And if they can have another 15 to 20 point score out there, that's all they need. And LeBron James really needs to slow it down a bit. He's picking back up to the point guard responsibilities since Shooter is out. If you can give him DeMarcus Cousins in the post, they'll be fine. If you can have a starting lineup of LeBron at your 1, Wesley Matthews at the 2, KCP at the 3. At your 4, you'll have Kyle Kuzma. Then at your 5, DeMarcus Cousins. That should be fine with. Or maybe they can go more traditional, more big, and you can have DeMarcus Cousins at the 4 with Marc Gasol at the 5. That's very unprecedented, but I would prefer within this roster, while Dennis Schroeder and AD, that they're injured and out, I would like Kyle Kuzma to come off the bench. He would be that somewhat of the Energizer Bunny and a little plug that they can get some scoring out of. Less pressure since he's not going to be starting, and they can rely on him somewhat off the bench, but I would have to work out a different lineup within there. Maybe you put Montrezl Harrell at the 4, and you have DeMarcus Cousins at the 5 and Marcus off the bench. I'm not sure. Frank Vogel is going to have to mess with that lineup. But Boogie Cousins should be on the roster ASAP. They should not wait any longer for other free agents. They need to get Boogie Cousins ASAP.
I am so amused by this idea. No, I'm not worried about the Lakers and how they're managing LeBron James because the Lakers do not manage LeBron James. LeBron James manages LeBron James. And am I worried about how he's...
And that's actually a bad thing within LeBron's career. I'm not going to divert too much, but LeBron James running his own system, his own show, has actually been detrimental to him losing NBA Finals and within that toxicity within his roster. So I'm not going to jump too much into that. But usually when LeBron James joined a franchise like the Cleveland Cavaliers, which he quote-unquote ran the show, he was Mr. Le GM, Mr. Le Coach, the system, and all the above, which hindered a bunch of players to be traded. Players like Kyrie Irving wanting to leave and demanded a trade to get themselves out of there. And within that, coaches get fired. I mean, you got David Blatt who got fired. You got Luke Walton get fired. I'm probably missing another coach or two within that mix. So that's something with LeBron James' situation. Him going to the Miami Heat, Pat Riley put him on check. And then with the LA Lakers, when they got Anthony Davis, Frank Vogel, and veteran players alongside, then they had to put LeBron James on check. So LeBron right now kind of has a little more free motion. But within that kind of big picture overall, LeBron James and the Lakers, they're fine where they're at right now.
Doing it again. I could raise some concerns about he's trying to chase Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and he's trying to win MVP and he's trying to get another championship, and he's trying to do all that with 2 of their 5 starters.
All 3 of those things will happen. LeBron James will win the championship. LeBron James also will win regular season MVP. And besides from that, LeBron James will crack Kareem's 38K points all time
On the shelf. But the reality is the man spends more than $1 million a year on his body. He's gone to 10 NBA finals. He's played 18 seasons. And if anybody has ever demonstrated that they know how to gauge their energy and apply it when most important, it is LeBron James. He wasn't just resting at the podium. He wasn't just resting in his car. He was resting on that last possession when he was supposed to be guarding Russ Westbrook, and Westbrook inbounded it and then made a cut to the basket. So LeBron can play all the minutes that he wants. It's how hard he plays them is the question. And last night was a game, as was the game against the Warriors, where, I find this amazing that he's capable of this, but he decides when he's going to exert the utmost energy, when he's going to go to that extra gear. And every time I thought, I don't know if that gear's there anymore because of his age, he has once again demonstrated, no, it's there and I can go to it when I need to. I'm just going to pick and choose when I think it's most important. So I take issue with this idea that we're going to put this on Frank Vogel or the Lakers. There is no player more powerful than LeBron James. There is no player who decides what he's going to do and when he's going to do it more than LeBron James. If he didn't want to be playing the minutes that he's playing, then he wouldn't be playing them. I dare say he's doing it because he's making a case for MVP, and he has in the past.
Oh, yeah. Of course, LeBron. LeBron is self-aware. At the end of the games, when there's a blowout, if he's got 18 points, LeBron James will make sure the last 6 minutes of that game, he'll go out there and try to score at least 6 to 8 points. LeBron James will stat pad. He will do it. And, I don't like that in his president of himself, but that's what LeBron, he's aware. He's trying to get individual records. Besides from that, he wants to get the regular season MVP, and he does have a narrative since Anthony Davis is out. But LeBron, you got to win these ball games, and it's still early. Listen, it's early. You got around 15 to 16 more games without Anthony Davis. So LeBron James could still make a case within there, but still not a good look as of right now for himself and for the Lakers' direction of losing these ball games, which puts a little more stress because last season with the Lakers, I think they lost 3 games in a row one time, and that's when after they had like a don't quote me on this. I believe they had like a 20-3 record. They were very hot to start off the season last season, 2020, and then they lost 3 in a row. But then after that, they picked it up and they never looked back. The Lakers right now, you lost 3 in a row, but you don't have Anthony Davis. You don't know when you're getting Dennis Schroeder back, so it's hard to keep that continuum when it comes to them. Big picture, I understand the Lakers will be a top 3 seed in the West, and they're going to go deep in the playoffs to win that championship. But I'll keep it step by step. Right now is more of the foggy area that the NBA wants you to kind of get diluted away from.
Over the last 8 years, not won MVP, and one of the reasons is because people say that he takes games off. That's why he's doing what he's doing.
But here's my issue, Slick. If you let an athlete, they will do whatever, even to their detriment. Remember before the NFL got serious about these concussions, players was going out there all types of wobbly and woozy and still going out there and playing. But we had to get independent, not even team neurologists, independent neurologists, because it's like, hey, we're going to look out for your best interest, NFL athlete, even when you won't look out for your own. That's what the Lakers need. Bron is going to play 40-plus games, Slick. Real quick, Slick. PG would have kept playing against the Nets if they would have let him. But somebody had to look out for him. Talk to me, Slick. Talk to me.
You, of all
Talk to me, Slick. Talk to me.
people, have always put LeBron in a different category.
Facts.
You can't give me comparisons of Paul George or NFL players or anybody else because LeBron uniquely has been the guy who...
Hey, LeBron James needs to get his mind right. He needs to go fly over to Miami, back up a couple more steroids, those PEDs back himself, get charged up mentally and physically, and get back on there in the court. But on a real note, though, the Lakers only had 72 to 79 days of rest in that in-between stage from the NBA Finals, the offseason, and then into entering this season. So they didn't have much time with the Miami Heat. I mean, the Miami Heat are not even in the playoff picture right now. I mean, you have COVID protocols, and then you have injuries as well. And the Lakers right now, you've seen that stress with LeBron James's legs, is getting tired out there. Same thing with Anthony Davis's aggravation upon that same injury. So as of right now, I mean, personally for me, I think LeBron James needs to rest a bit. That's why I wanted him to rest, especially during the Washington Wizards game. Perfect opportunity. This team, even if they would have lost, it's fine. LeBron James is going to be, you take a step back, you get rest, you can see the game in a better picture within his players and teammates. But I'm not LeBron James. And you understand with LeBron, he wants to crack 72 games in a row attendance with the Lakers. He wants to make that MVP case. So it is what it is on there.
It was demonstrated that when we all question, what's he doing? Why is he doing it? He's come out on top as a result.
Let me go here, Slick. I'm going to bob that, and I'm going to throw one of my own. Remember, because who can we compare LeBron to? If nobody else, we can compare him to Tom Brady. Fair? If nobody else, we can compare him.
We're going to see with Tom Brady and LeBron James, it's going to be about longevity. At the end of their career, the end of their legacy, they're going to win championships. They're going to win regular season MVPs, awards, etc., etc. With Tom Brady, he got his championship with Tampa Bay. He has that narrative. He's 43 years of age. He got Super Bowl MVP. Now we see with LeBron James here, he won a championship at 35 years of age with a third franchise, a third finals MVP. And then now LeBron James wants to continue being 36, regular season MVP. What's next? Another finals MVP, another championship. Those two guys are in the same class within that. LeBron James wants to be the GOAT. He wants to be crowned the GOAT. If he's going to win 6 championships and he has all these finals losses, how is he going to redeem himself and have that reconciliation period towards media members, towards NBA fans, and to crown himself as the GOAT? He's going to have to do it by both off the court with the I Promise School, have political stances, all that nonsense to kind of get you guys in that mix, as well as trying to win 6 NBA championships, to win another regular season MVP to tie Michael Jordan, and chase Kareem's 38K when it comes to points. LeBron James is very aware. He's a student of the game. He's very intelligent. He understands what's going on, big picture. And do I believe he'll conquer around 90 to 95% of that at least? Yes, he will. He will do that at the end of his career. But you got to take it step by step by now. I'm not going to freak out over 3 games in a row that they've lost. And they're going against the Utah Jazz within their next outing. So that'll get very interesting. If they win that game, you're going to see the whole narrative flip.
Fair.
Okay.
Now, remember what happened when Tom Brady played early on, and I don't know how much football you watch, but I'll tell you as I tell the audience, you probably watch it. Remember what happened when Tom Brady played the Saints early on in the regular season, and they only ran the ball 4 times on a primetime game? They got molly-whopped. No disrespect to Tom Brady, he's still great, but you got to rein in a great just so the great can accomplish greatness at times. Now, Tom Brady won his 7th Super Bowl. Who tweeted out very quickly the congratulations? LeBron James, who was also keeping in mind his peer. LeBron James probably wants to do that as well. But remember, Tom Brady, who LeBron is watching, he ain't do it on his own. In the playoffs, he ain't do it on his own. He didn't go out there and ball individually if you look at some of those categories. So LeBron James is going to need some help, just like Tom Brady got help.
LeBron James will have his help, and he has the perfect help at Anthony Davis, who's around 27, 28 years of age, who prefers and is fine being a beta and is fine being a second option, which is ideal for LeBron James, who, whenever he ages up, LeBron James can stick playing a point guard position and pretty much bring up the ball, have a high ball usage, give you around 25 a night due to him being a locomotive, due to him easily being 6'8", 6'9", getting to the rim and getting his, the foul ticky-tack shots and doing his thing, going 70 to 80%. And besides from that, LeBron James has Anthony Davis. And as of right now, AD is going to be out for a month. It's not a big deal. Big picture, they will have AD for the playoffs. They will have Anthony Davis for the finals, and he will perform at a high level. Book it.
We make these great narratives of Tom Brady came in and did it on his own, and Tom Brady but that's not the case. In the same manner, that won't be the case for LeBron, Slick.
But you saw the game last night. Did LeBron take the ball to the rack every opportunity that he got? Absolutely not.
LeBron James cannot do that because when you're the only good player out there that can initiate an offense and let alone score by yourself, you're not going to take it to the rim all game when you're playing 38 minutes. You know how tiring that is for an individual player and to play on the defensive end? LeBron James is smart. He's not going to do that time after time.
He was distributing and he was not trying to dominate in the way that we know that he's capable of. He made an executive decision. I'm going to try to steal this game. I'm going to try to win this game, but I'm not going to go all out in attempting to do it. So I agree with you. Like, he has to be judicious, but he demonstrated to me last night that he has the discipline to do that, even if it ultimately costs him a game.
Man.
All right, we're just talking in circles now. I'm going to end it on this. The Lakers losing 3 in a row is concerning somewhat because you got to understand you have another 3 weeks of Anthony Davis not being on the court. And with Dennis Schroeder, probably another week or so. So you don't have a consistent score out there with LeBron James. And you're kind of asking a little too much for him within that, due to him as well being tired as can be. So is there a little concern? Yeah, of course, of course. Big picture, they're going to get Anthony Davis back by the end of the season. They will be in the playoffs. They will be a top 3 seed in the Western Conference. And LeBron James will adjust. Same thing with Frank Vogel. And within that, they have 2 open roster spots with the Lakers roster. Who are they going to get? They just let go of Quinn Cook. I propose they need to get DeMarcus Cousins ASAP. He can help out initially within this team. Besides from that, we'll have to cover more from there.